The source material for this video is presented in context and with chronology preserved, for edutainment purposes only. Noah Samson isn't just some guy who doesn't spell his surname correctly. He's a gamer, philosopher, and champion of the downtrodden, as long as the downtrodden are thousands of miles away.
It's my hot body, I'll do what I want.
It's showtime.
In this video, we're looking at another story time because my migraine is still here and I cannot stare at bright white pages of news and scholarly materials like I would have to for one of his video essays.
Think of it like a puzzle, right? If I see something and have an emotional reaction, that's a puzzle piece.
How am I already confused? A puzzle piece of what? What is the puzzle? Is the puzzle your emotional state?
Maybe two, maybe half of one. Then I look at a reply from someone.
I'm really trying to work with your metaphor here. I think you're telling us that your emotional state is like a puzzle. And because it's you, of course, the puzzle is a jigsaw. One of those easy ones you can get at Dollar Tree for the kiddos.
Someone has a different perspective, and they say something that puts in my mind how this conversation is going.
Are you high? I do not understand anything that you're trying to communicate here.
Oh, okay, they said this. Let's think. Another puzzle piece. Another puzzle piece.
Why does that one get two puzzle pieces? That doesn't seem fair to your emotions that your thoughts get more.
You keep scrolling. You find someone that looks like they know their shit. You click on their profile. They're some type of journalist or researcher. They have some expertise. Their tweet is really interesting, and you learn something from it, and you say, oh, okay, puzzle piece. Puzzle piece.
Why do you do everything ass backwards? I don't look to Twitter to find reliable sources of credible information. That would be stupid.
All right, you little goblins out there, welcome back to the show. We're back to Noah time.
If you don't tell me what the fucking puzzle is, I'm going to be very, very upset with you, young man.
When I came out here to this bird and bug-filled land that they know colloquially as Thailand.
Is this some sort of like Henry David Thoreau, live in the wilderness bullshit?
I don't really know what I was trying to do, but I knew I was trying to do something else than what I was doing.
Can you at least tell us what you were doing and how living in Thailand is better?
I spent the first week with some family. We went around, we did all these activities. It was really fun, really good. After that, though, I went to the mountains, into the woods, in a cabin.
It is. You're trying to be Henry David Thoreau. What's your pond called? Because it can't be Walden.
And spent a month there. And that was the time period that you saw me last. It was the place I was staying.
The vlogs you filmed at your cabin in the woods show the cabin in the woods as their setting? No way.
Messing around in the woods, doing chores and crap.
You had chores in the woods? Like clearing dry brush to prevent fires?
After a month in the woods in the north, I came here where I'm at now, in the south.
Here is where you're at now? I don't know if I can handle that complicated information.
On an island. So it was a sort of dip your toe into both types of place.
You should not be using idioms.
In Thailand. There's other types of places too.
I understand that there's more than just an island and one forest that make up the country of Thailand. You don't have to teach me that.
I could talk about why I was a little fed up and frustrated and just not liking the direction of life that I was going before kind of leading up to taking the trip.
So you're not going to share the details of your existential crisis with us?
But first I want to talk about what I'm stoked about, what I'm psyched and jazzed about, which is that I can read now.
You're trying to be funny. That's cute.
I learned how to read, actually read. Loved reading growing up.
You just implied that you couldn't read growing up.
Loved tearing through the books, that fiction shit.
It's not funny. It just makes you look like a liar. You can't name a single title or author. You can just say that fiction shit and play it off like it's a joke.
At a certain point, though, reading, falls off, tapers off. I think that happens with a lot of people.
It happened with you because you were no longer in school and no longer had to read books. That's the kind of reading you did, the kind you were forced to.
For me, it also extra tapered off when I started playing sports.
You stopped doing your classwork when you joined the football team.
Spending just the majority of my time doing sports and activities related to sports.
What sports? You sound like you're lying because you're saying the word sports instead of specific sports that you played.
Less time for anything else, really. I used to do videos. I stopped doing those while I was playing sports. But also reading is included in that. In school, like in high school, reading for, classes.
Is the only type of reading you've ever done. You've never read on your own for fun. You don't do that. The reason you stopped reading is because you stopped being forced to for school.
I don't really do it. I didn't do that much. I didn't do the readings. I kind of would occasionally do the readings, but most of the time I would just do a little bullshit on the tests.
Did you have really dumb teachers?
On the essays. I'm great at pulling words out of my holes.
No, you're not. You may think you are, but you're definitely not. I doubt you passed those tests.
And obviously, that's why we're here. But in that context, it creates some bad habits,
No, I don't know. I'm a voracious reader, and I have been since I was first taught to read. What do you mean bad habits? Bad habits is in no longer reading for school, which you weren't doing anyways. Like you just said, you were bullshitting on the tests.
Wait until the deadline, spew out a bunch of stuff on the page. You get an A.
Wait, no. You had a conditional entry into university. You didn't get A's on these. You barely passed your literature classes, didn't you?
I had like a 3.9 GPA.
Then why did you need to play football to get into a university?
Because I was a fantastic bullshitter.
No, I don't think you are. I don't think you ever were. I think you are bullshitting right now. And you were about to say because you were a football player and the teachers were easier on the football players. Yeah?
And I never really read anything.
You just said you used to read all the time. Which one is it?
I just bullshitted. ADHD is definitely a part of that, right?
It can be.
Developing habits to make it so that you can skirt around the fact that you just can't focus on this thing for long enough, that reading pages means that you're reading them and then rereading them and rereading them and then forgetting what you read enough times that you are just preemptively scared that you'll forget, and that makes you forget harder and faster.
So now you're saying you didn't do the reading because you couldn't focus because of ADHD. It's not your fault. It was the ADHD.
But I think a huge part of it is just environmental, right? I was in sports. I graduated and went to play sports in college. When that was done, I didn't really know what to do. I started doing like art and shit, videos, music videos and things like that. Freelance, filming shit at the gas station with a Canon T200i or whatever.
You're talking about that gas station again. Do you keep mentioning it in your videos because it's the only time you actually were the camera operator on a music video?
But there was nothing driving me to engage with like intellectual pursuits.
Yeah, because unless you were forced to read it for school, in which case you didn't even read it then, you aren't interested in intellectual pursuits.
So with reading for information, not just articles, but like books or just learning about getting a deep knowledge on any certain topic.
Because you're not an intellectual. I can see why you want people to think you're an intellectual, but everything you've said thus far proves the opposite.
There's no reason for it, because I was just kind of chilling, gaming, just trying to do a music video, making some crap, hanging out at my grandma's.
I already know about your shiftless loser stage of life.
Playing with Babe.
I have no idea what that means.
I'm obviously invested and interested in politics now, but
you're not. You only care about one very specific political situation. You don't care about politics in general at all.
That didn't happen until the 2017 Bernie Sanders campaign.
I am dubious of this statement. You've already explained to me in previous videos that you graduated high school in 2016 and you went straight into university, which you quit in 2016. When did Bernie come into it?
I forget what it was specifically, but I ended up listening to an episode of Choppa Trap House, which is like this left guy, like comedy type.
I believe you listened to an episode of a podcast. I don't believe it was in any way motivated by Bernie Sanders or anything in 2016, 2017.
Bullshit podcast. It was funny. Started listening to it more. Started to get introduced to more concepts about left politics or socialism things.
This sounds slightly more credible, but it also means that during your time at Grandma's, you were becoming radicalized by leftist media?
And from that, I think I started following people that interacted on Twitter with like this whole crowd of online personalities, most of them sort of comedy related, but also some of them more explicitly political, but like a spectrum and overlap and things.
You're still not being an intellectual. You're just following social media accounts.
And that was how I started engaging in politics.
Okay, you know what? This is believable. You were interested because it was a comedy podcast and comedy got you interested. All right, I buy it.
And you might say, no, that's not engaging in politics. That's just checking some shit out and reading some posts. And that's true.
Well, you just said engaging. You didn't say you were suddenly boots on the ground protest marching or anything.
And that's part of the problem. Whatever inklings of critical thinking skills I had left from as being a child and a boy.
As of being a child and a boy, I don't think you ever have had those skills.
Were completely stomped out and smushed out by using Twitter for, I guess it'll be 7 years now.
Twitter's what stopped your ability to read books? How many different stories are you going to give us in this single video?
Specifically using Twitter with no context about broader political conversations, theory, actual history.
That's still how you interact with it. You don't have the intellectual capacity to do those other things.
Just a vague social justice arena of places.
An arena is a place. It's not a place where lots of places are.
Where you see someone retweet a post that has 20,000 likes that says, here's why tricep extensions are actually fascist.
I haven't been on Twitter since 2018. Is this seriously what's on there now?
And you say, oh, that has 20,000 likes, and I saw someone I know that is pretty chill, seems chill, liked it. So now that's something I kind of believe a little bit.
I think you still operate that way. I do. I think this is the way you continue to operate.
Thousands, millions of idiots in a room yelling really loudly, and the louder the idiot is, the more idiots gather around.
I don't think everyone on Twitter is an idiot. I do think a lot of people on Twitter are a reason I'm not on Twitter.
That's really cynical. I mean, that's fucking... The world's full of stupid people. I'm smart because I'm weird and antisocial. I'm a lot like the True Detective, Matthew McConaughey.
And that's the only title you've given us in this video that is meant to be about learning and reading. The only title that you can remember is from a television show.
I'm not trying to say that. What I'm trying to say is there's dumb posts on there all the time, and a lot of times the dumb posts, a lot of people like them.
You're not telling me anything I don't already know.
And specifically when those posts put forth some political idea, you can sort of have the idea enter your head, but it's such a thin spread summarization.
Were you trying to say thinly spread summary?
Of whatever concept it is. Usually it's a little performative as well. Often it's performative.
Just like your videos.
So your head gets filled with buzzwords and out of context arguments to the politics of liberation or leftist politics or socialism.
That's funny, because those were criticisms I had of the last video of yours that I watched.
In a extremely circle-jerculatory manner. I don't know if that's a word, but let's use it.
A circulatory circle jerk might be a good phrase, but you're not the one who can coin it.
So it's been like 6 years of that.
Is this video in 2022 or 2023?
Of just watching some shit, checking some shit out on Twitter, and that's my engagement with the world. That's my depth of engagement with understanding really anything.
It still is. I know you're trying to build toward a contrast of your new, more scholarly self, but that version of you doesn't actually exist.
Honestly. The thing is here, there's nothing wrong with that, right? I'm not trying to be like a weird elitist. You need a study to verify your claim that you don't want to date me.
That went real incel real fast.
It's just, it's weird shit. But in that month, in the cabin in the woods in Chiang-Dao, Thailand, in the mountains, everything changed.
Yeah, but what was the name of your pond?
When the fire nation... Come on.
Yes, you do sound silly.
There's a direct effect, though, for me on what I'm doing on my career in terms of making videos, especially when the videos get into a political territory.
I know, your video essays are hilarious, but when I've got a migraine, I just can't do the fact-checking that's necessary to respond to them critically.
Is that my ability to research and my depth of understanding with things coming in was quite low. But for me in my YouTube career, that didn't actually matter because I was good at using the algorithm.
Is he self-aware? Does he know that his work sucks?
You start making videos, you start talking about politics, not in a very in-depth way, but you're just kind of saying stuff that you do believe, but that may not be that grounded. You may have picked it up from tweets
You sound like you're calling out Hassan Piker.
about, feminism, anti-racism, such and such. Because I never went through a process of sharpening those tools, like I said, I bullshitted in high school.
How is this so directly related to the video I just made about your ADHD excuses? How? Oh, I just realized how. You don't actually have that much to talk about.
I bullshitted in college.
You dropped out in your first semester. You didn't have time to bullshit in college.
I didn't ever actually learn the skills you need to research and really understand something before talking about it.
Yeah, but you still don't.
And then when YouTube starts and when I start getting views, not because the content is surface level, but because I'm talking about stuff that I do believe that a lot of other people believe in a way that no one is really getting anything out of it. You're just performing and they're clapping, and then that's that.
You're still doing that. Your work hasn't changed.
I started blowing up on YouTube, and then there's no reason for me, if I want to be successful at YouTube, to go out
Are you okay? The load of delusion you're carrying is not good for one's back.
any deeper than that, because I'm already doing the shit that I want to do, so it's fine.
Where are we going? Are you about to brag about the Wi-Fi connection in your cabin?
I'm growing. And so I start going viral. I'm following trends. I'm churning out content, start getting brand deals, start working with a manager, start making money. Go, following the same process I always have, which is I just find some shit on the internet and I make fun of it.
This is dangerous. You're encouraging me to check your back catalog.
And I try to relate whatever politics, feminism, anti-racism, whatever else, into the content.
Were all of your videos about feminism or anti-racism?
I'm obviously speaking about it very heavily critically right now.
It's part of the manipulation tactic. You have to act like you're contrite and disillusioned and disgusted even with the person you used to be in order to emphasize how much better you are now.
I didn't ever release anything that I didn't, believe, or that I didn't think would be important, or that I didn't think was good.
The fact that you're not leaving this unsaid leads me to believe you are dissembling.
That's the thing about looking at old stuff you make. At the time you make it, you're making it and you're releasing it or finishing it because you think it's good. If you don't think it's good, then you don't do that, or you do release it because you're a silly guy.
Are you trying to say that in retrospect you think a lot of your earlier work was bullshit?
But I thought it was good when I released it.
So, yes.
And you look back and you say, oh, that's bad, but that's okay, because that's the point of creating things, is you live and you grow and you learn and you live and laugh and love.
Thanks, Ray Dunn. When are you going to tell us about the reading?
And your work changes. You change as a person. That change, perspective, gets reflected in the things that you're making.
Sure, Jan.
Look the camera in the lens and say that again.
The effect you have on the world, and blah 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 blah. It's weird because during all of that, I'm watching all of these people that are really good at making video essays. They're super, well researched, well argued. I watch them and I'm like, oh, this is great. I want to try and get to this level.
Start at the library.
And my pathway to sort of getting to that level was trying to watch as many of those as I could, and that was it. Watch other YouTube videos, but really never actually put things into practice in a systematic way.
You weren't genuinely looking to improve your content. You just wanted to imitate what already existed?
Because I didn't know how. I didn't have an academic background. I didn't know how to do what they were doing, but I wanted to do it, and I thought if I watched it enough, I would figure it out.
Does 2026 Noah have it figured out now?
And you pick up on some stuff, obviously. The point I'm trying to make with that is these creators all came from the mud.
I do not understand your figurative language.
Their process of writing and creating this work was done very slowly, very meticulously, over a long period of time of slow growth, starting from zero, right?
Everyone starts at zero. And what does this have to do with mud?
Most of these people, you probably know the people I'm talking about. I don't just like left-leaning video essay type people.
Are you trying to say bread tube without saying bread tube?
A lot of them started before there was an established space for what I and others do right now. And so, to me, what I see in that process is people get really good at something and slowly but surely iron out the things about the process and continue on while not being over rewarded for their skills and abilities.
Are you talking about perseverance?
So that once the limelight really finally hits, once this space is established, they have a whole catalog of videos that are really...
I think what he's saying is that he got really instant success. He doesn't know how he got it, but he knows it has to do with virality and not with building up a catalog of good material.
solid. Like, you go back and watch every single one of them, you're like, yeah, this is like... I rewatched this because it's like...
Rewatch what? ContraPoints? Lindsay Ellis? Jenny Nicholson? What?
It's, funny, interesting, whatever. You learn a lot, and it's clean. That didn't happen with me at all. I blew up.
So I'm right. You had a viral hit, and that's what led to your success, and you never learned to create good content.
Acted like I did and know nobody. Not really. I just blew up because I was a great editor, and I knew how to, use the little algorithm thingy.
You keep saying you're a good editor, but I do not see any evidence of this, sir.
How to draw on groups of audiences to sort of funnel them into me, to me. And then all of a sudden, I have 500,000 subscribers.
No, that is insufficient explanation. What are you talking about? What it sounds like to me is that you don't know what made you successful, and you're still trying to find out.
And I don't know what I'm doing, and I am not that really confident in my ability because I'm not practiced, because the thing I'm doing is always just some random shit to try and put a video out.
Are you saying that you still don't know how you're successful and you don't know how to create and or maintain further success?
And I'm scared.
Look, Mr. Smallbean, you said that this was going to be about learning. You started off talking about reading. When are we getting to the books?
On the one hand, there's nothing about my job that's telling me I need to change anything. My job says more, give me more, keep doing whatever you're doing, keep growing. And that's why for so long, nothing did change.
I know. You're about to tell us about this amazing thing that happened to you in the cabin in the woods that changed your perspective on scholarly research.
Because that's the obvious material incentive to let the gravy gobble up the gravy while it happens, and then fill up the gravy hole.
Do you have some sort of obsession with bodily orifices?
A bowl. What finally ripped me from this illusion, what finally sparked within me an intellectual curiosity that feels very genuine and that feels like it's pushing me to dedicate myself to really understand what's going on.
The curiosity feels genuine. You're talking about your feelings. You haven't actually taken action. I bet you haven't read a single fucking thing.
It's a few different things, but I think one of the biggest ones is how the media has covered the genocide in Gaza.
That has nothing to do with the cabin in the woods. You were going to tell us about how you just learned how to learn. Did you just learn about the genocide in Gaza, like just now?
Of Palestinians. Watching in real time on a Twitter feed.
You just gave a whole spiel about how you're embarrassed that you used to only use Twitter to find out news and information, and now you're telling us about finding out news and information on Twitter, and I am getting very confused. My brain hurts too much for this.
The Holocaust happening.
No, he's not talking about the Holocaust with a capital H. He liked that one.
And then seeing huge news outlets, all the major places that a Westerner would get their news, lie about it.
You're making the blanket statement that all major media outlets are lying about the genocide in Gaza? Really? So what is it that you're looking to for information? You told us you were going to talk about learning and reading and becoming more scholarly, but all I'm hearing from you is that you're still on Twitter and you don't trust newspapers.
Lie to protect the perpetrators of the genocide, Israel. Lie to protect America, who's sending them weapons.
Yeah, isn't it great that you can make all this content about it? Because that's what this video is about. It's about you and the content you make and how suddenly it's going to be better.
Watching this happen from day one of this latest escalation, from October 7th.
What do you mean day one of the latest escalation? You're saying that you've only recently learned about this.
It just changed me. It changed me in a way that I will never be the same.
I don't see any change in you. You seem like the exact same person you were when you made this video and when you made videos previous to this one.
Because that's what change is, I guess.
You guess? You mean you're not sure if you're a changed person?
Immediately you're put into this place where you see a horrific crime happen.
Nothing you're saying has anything to do with reading for information. You're just trying to sound like you have empathy.
That you're paying for. You're paying your government and they're sending bombs. And
Is that how you think taxes work?
you don't know what to do with this. You're awestruck. And then you see the New York Times say, this thing happened, but we don't really know why. So hopefully death stops one day.
I don't understand. What does this have to do with learning? You're telling me that newspapers are no longer reliable sources of information. So what is it you're learning from, Noah?
Even though we know who did it, we saw who did it, the people who did it said they did it, but they're not facing any repercussions.
Is that how someone explained it to you to get you to understand? Like it's a detective story?
It's just very radicalizing, you know?
I don't know.
Tell me, Noah, who are the good guys? What's the name of their group, and how do they prove that they are the good ones and not as evil as the IDF?
And even the first video I made I was still in that mindset of content brain that isn't really doing that deep of research,
That's great. What about the cabin in the woods?
where I compiled some very extremist TikToks that were just advocating for genocide.
You made propaganda.
I didn't really break them down. I kind of just presented them and talked about them, not really too in depth, more so just saying what happened.
Of course you didn't. The pool of your intellect is too shallow to dip a toe into.
And then slowly the way I approached them changed into more of a journalistic area where I'm seeing what happened, putting it all together, compiling all the footage, and presenting it.
You're comparing this to journalism and not nonfiction. You never read anything. You didn't do a single goddamn page of reading.
To an audience, a Western audience that probably doesn't see any of this shit.
Which makes you so important, bringer of information. Get to the reading.
And that is another step towards where I want to be, where I'm looking for sources, digging around.
Where are you digging besides Twitter? And what does this have to do with the cabin in the woods?
But I'm not really digging around. I'm not really reading all the article. I'm not really looking at the source notes.
So now you're telling us that you started this whole adventure into deeper research before you went to Thailand in the first place?
I know what's going on, so I don't really need to mess around with a lot of other shit. And in some sense, that makes sense.
Noah, you're wrong. It doesn't make sense in any sense.
But also, what I think finally pushed me over the edge was a debate on Lex Friedman's podcast.
And you heard it because you were listening to the podcast in the cabin in the woods. Yeah? Yeah? Are you back there?
With Norm Finkelstein, Muin Rabbani, Benny Morris, and Destiny, the streamer, Destiny.
Stephen Bonnell and Norman Finkelstein? Gross.
It was Destiny specifically, the way he, an unqualified internet-brained person like me.
Noah. While there may be some superficial resemblance between you and Destiny, Destiny has something that you do not, and that is an intellect. He may be a dipshit, but he's a smart dipshit.
Talked about what was happening in a room with people that actually knew what was happening, that had a deep knowledge, that had sources and books and years of their entire lives dedicated to studying these things.
What things? And I'm going to be very upset when I learn that this didn't happen at the cabin in the woods.
It was watching the sheer canyon rift between these two people.
Canyon and Rift are doing the same job. You need to just choose one noun.
In this conversation and being like, oh fuck, I'm actually him, and that's me, and that's really bad.
Which one are you? And what are they talking about? And where is the disconnect? And I am so confused.
That's the case. I'm the Wikipedia scroller guy too, because there's nothing about my job and my livelihood, my environment, that requires me to be anything else.
Are you giving excuses for why you can't read books?
And that sent me over the fucking edge.
What sent you over the edge? You haven't told us anything that was in this podcast. You've just named a couple of the participants.
If you have a genuine desire to improve the world, I think what this showed me is that there has to be some pursuit of truth.
Then you're fucked. You lie all the time. You're lying now.
Involved in that. And in a world that is so heavily...
I want Vic Fontaine for this one. Oh, well.
politicized in a very surface level way, like Twitter, like what I was talking about earlier. Surface level engagement.
Yeah, you said your engagement was still surface level, that you may look up things on Wikipedia, but you don't read the whole articles or look at the footnotes.
Emotional charging, trying to win arguments just for the sake of winning and not understanding. All of these poisonous factors of the way the internet has distorted how we think and gather information.
You just said nothing. You said a bunch of words, but there was no meaning to the words you said.
Just flowed out of this podcast video on my screen into my eyes and burned them, and
That sounds very Cabin in the Woods. Finally.
now they don't see the same. Now I'm kind of like as if I were Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen, so.
That didn't make any sense to me either, but I'm sure there's somebody out there who knows what you mean.
Yeah, so I'm basically like that. So yeah, so.
You edit these. Why did you leave that in there? Are you trying to look like a small bean again? Is it trying to be cute? Do you just not know how to edit the shitty parts out?
The cliche, truth is stranger than fiction. I actually disagree. Wait, no I don't.
Like that. Why did you leave that in? It just makes you look words I can't say.
The truth is important for obvious reasons, but also the reasons aren't so obvious because my main reason for looking for the truth is that shit's wild.
Now you sound like someone in their first year at Burning Man.
It's so much more interesting to dive into something to figure out what's really true.
No, it's not. It's not more interesting. It's just more learning, and you don't like learning.
And figure out what's really happened, and the more you look, the more things you find.
Are you coming out as a conspiracy theorist? Are you one of those people who believe that the Earth is really shaped like a velociraptor?
That open the scope of what this thing is.
What thing? Open what scope of what thing?
I realize I'm being very vague here, so just in case you think I'm talking about a flat Earth or something.
Buddy, that was not a denial of the velociraptor theory.
Oh, my butt.
Can you be an adult for 5 minutes, Noah?
I've always done this thing where I find something on the internet and I have an immediate emotional reaction.
I'd find that more believable if you had any emotive qualities in your voice, but your facial expression and monotone indicate you do not experience many emotions.
And instead of moving to dive deeper into it, I turn my camera on and start yapping.
You were going to tell us about this big change you've made, and instead you're just reiterating all of the reasons why you are not a reliable content creator.
And this is really, right now, why the reason that I find this so bad and that I hopefully will never do again, or hopefully just do it way less.
Do what? Have a knee-jerk emotional reaction, or immediately create content without doing enough proper thinking or research? You're doing both right now.
Is because if you just wait to turn the camera on, you find so much more shit that makes it so much more interesting.
You mean if you delay the actual video creation and give yourself time to do more research, you'll end up with a better video? Wow. Has anybody else heard of this?
And whatever emotion I initially reacted with that pushed me to make a video about it, that emotion eventually builds to something that's 10 times, 100 times more powerful.
That's not actually a positive thing. In fact, it sounds kind of dangerous for your mental health and emotional well-being.
But it's also 100 times more complex and connected to other things, other examples, other histories and contexts. Think of it like a puzzle, right?
Holy crap. Holy crap. I still don't know what your puzzle is. Is it your mind? Is it your emotions? Is it just Noah Samson 5-piece jigsaw?
If I see something and have an emotional reaction, that's a puzzle piece. Maybe two, maybe half of one. Then I look at a reply from someone. Someone has a different perspective, and they say something that puts in my mind how this conversation is going. Oh, okay, they said this. Let's think. Another puzzle piece. Another puzzle piece.
Yeah, it doesn't make any more sense this time, but what I am understanding is that you're describing your research process, which apparently only happens on Twitter.
You keep scrolling. You find someone that looks like they know their shit. You click on their profile. They're some type of journalist or researcher. They have some expertise. Their tweet is really interesting, and you learn something from it.
What does this have to do with your time in a cabin in the woods, Noah?
And you say, oh, okay. Puzzle piece. Puzzle piece. And if you just keep doing this over and over and over and over, you get all these lovely little puzzle pieces, and you got to move it from your living room table to the floor.
Bullshit. You've never done a jigsaw over 100 pieces.
And then from the floor to outside. And then you got to call Mr. Beast, and he has to build you a flat earth that's flat, unlike this one. This one's totally round.
You are so a velociraptor guy.
And then so you can put the puzzle pieces there. And it's such a fucking invigorating, exhilarating process.
You use words to describe emotions, but you do not demonstrate any of these emotions yourself. Do you know what they feel like?
To me, that I never felt before last month.
Because that's when you watched that podcast from your cabin in the woods.
Before the last 3 weeks, I don't know, month. So when I say when I say that I'm 26 and I just learned how to read, it's more so that I just learned how to learn.
You were going to title this, I'm 26 and just learned how to read, weren't you?
Through this long, complex process of stuff and events that occur, life, people I meet, people I talk to.
Nothing connects back to the cabin. Nothing.
Everything builds to something that changes you as a person. And I don't know, I'm just describing something changes, but that's what's happening to me right now.
You're attributing something that you say you've discovered over the past, couple of years? You're attributing all of that to the last 3 weeks you spent in a cabin in the woods where apparently you watched that podcast for the first time? Or was none of that in the woods because you're just a big liar McLiarson, aren't you?
I'm going through changes. My body's getting body hair. I'm getting stinky. My mons pabus.
Now you're getting inappropriate.
So obviously I'm feeling a little wacko and invigorated, and I don't know, randomly I'll just tell someone that I'm reading all these books, and they're like, what? Who are you? Get out of my house type shit.
Is that where you're getting these books, from this imaginary person's house?
But because I've lived most of my life being very deeply intellectually uncurious, and I know others have that same feeling, one day I hope to be able to figure out how to get people to figure out what I figured out.
In one sentence, tell me what you figured out. I don't think you know.
Here, which I don't know how that'll happen, and also maybe it already has. Maybe I'm just getting to baseline of how to engage with information and realizing that shit's sick.
What shit? Reading? You've not named a single book. What shit? Watching podcasts? What shit? The jigsaw puzzle of your emotional mental state? What? Shit, Noah!
But based on how the world is, based on how politics go, based on how we talk to each other. Look, brief side note, there's this in my mind, stigma to being let's just have political conversations.
It's not just in your mind, and it's not a stigma. It's a means of maintaining the peace in society, especially at Thanksgiving.
Why can't we just have dialogue? I think because usually it's Joe Biden is talking with Donald Trump about how many bombs they should send.
Why would Joe Biden be talking to Donald Trump about bombs? Even your hypotheticals are complete nonsense.
1,000 or 2,000, that's the political conversation in America.
Do you really think that Joe Biden and Donald Trump work together?
And, that kind of sucks.
Well, relax, guy. You just made it up. It's not real.
But I'm learning that that's a very silly reason to toss out the idea of a conversation and a dialogue.
Of course it's a silly reason to toss out the idea of conversation and dialogue. It's not real. You just made it up.
Because that's the key.
Are you trying to say that conversation, dialogue with those who disagree with us are ways that we can work to improve our world and understanding of each other? Or are you just looking for the key to that house and that's why you're outside, because you locked yourself out?
When we talk about learning, you can read a book. That's a conversation.
No, it's not even metaphorically. You need at least two individuals having back and forth communication to consider it a conversation or dialogue.
You can read a conversation in a book. The book is conversing with you, and you are conversing with the book.
No. That verb doesn't work at all. You are not conversing with a book. You are reading a book and getting information from a book or a story from the book, but you're not having a dialogue back and forth. You can't. The book has already been printed.
That is telling you about two other things that are conversing. It's all a conversation.
You keep using the word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
And then when you get to the relative's house on Thanksgiving
How'd you know I said that? Are we having a conversation?
and they're talking on some dumb shit, you can navigate that as a conversation, and it doesn't have to be you being a centrist. It's just you talking to them
Your family doesn't do Thanksgiving, do they?
and asking them questions. And when they say some dumb shit, you say, why do you think that? And then when they say why, you say, huh. Or maybe you say something better to sort of figure it out, but you don't have to teach them. The point is not preaching, the point is talking.
I've said it before, but you sound just like a couple of Kens we've got down here. We call them the debate bros. They're insufferable.
There's a video from the YouTuber Zoe B called How to Argue on the Internet and Win, I think it's called.
You've never read a book. You'll never read a book. None of this is about reading. None of this is about gaining knowledge. It's all about making videos.
And it goes into this concept of stasis theory and how when you're having a debate or an argument, there's like 4 levels at which you need to be on the same page on before an argument can commence and before truth or conclusion can be sought.
Yeah, but how do you know that that person is a credible source of information on discussion anyways? You don't. You aren't talking about learning intelligently. You're talking about passively intaking what other people tell you is intelligent.
The base level of this pyramid is reality. So if you don't agree on reality, if you're on 2 different pages, you can't continue the conversation.
And we already have a problem. You and I have a different reality. I look at Hamas and I see a terrorist group. You look at them and see righteous freedom fighters. We can't agree on reality, therefore we can never have a true discussion.
And that happens a lot, I feel like. The example she gives is talking to someone that doesn't believe climate change exists.
Yeah, that's a good choice. It's a lot less inflammatory than my example.
You can get them on the same page, going through. They're asking questions, you answering them. But rarely does that conversation start out at the reality level. It usually starts out about, what should we do with this Greta Thunberg lady?
What? What?
And that's not, you don't need to be asking that question when you don't even know why she's yapping all the time.
She doesn't yap all the time. Are you trying to be amusing? Because you just seem like an asshole.
When you don't even believe that she needs to be yapping, that's not for you.
And the creation of video essays isn't for you, but look where we are.
So it's crazy to me that my limitless pill is, aside from Vyvanse, watching Destiny be so fucking dumb that it changed the way my neuro pathways function.
For the better or worse?
I think that's awesome, and I'm thankful to Destiny. And I see reflected in him a lot of myself.
No, you don't. You see what you think is yourself. You see the self you want to project to the rest of the world that doesn't actually exist. Or you just recognize that you're both white men with facial hair.
Because I'm a dumbass on the internet.
Don't limit yourself. You're a dumbass everywhere.
That doesn't really know all that much about the world and about history.
Which is weird because the title of this video is that you learn to learn. So if you still don't know anything after learning to learn, did you really learn to learn?
And that talks way too much for how little I know.
That is accurate. You use too many words in ways that don't even make sense.
But I'm not egotistical enough to go on a debate with people that know what's going on during a genocide to try and argue that a genocide isn't happening.
Was that what Destiny was saying in the podcast that you didn't watch at the cabin in the woods?
That is a different thing that I am not.
No, you're not, but I do wonder what your thoughts are on the Holocaust with a capital H.
I'm working on this video right now, and I'm positive it'll be my biggest video ever, and I'm in the writing stages, I'm in the still research stages, but every day I get up and I'm so excited.
I can tell. You are the most excited.
To get back onto the page and fuck around with it and find new things and research and deep dive more, follow the updates so I can just take my little notes and keep tabs on what's going on.
You're not actually communicating anything right now, but I think that's your intention because you need to be vague enough so that if your video sucks, you can walk it back and say you were talking about a different one.
I've always been very anxious about this process because there's an anxiety that I'm going to forget something, that an idea I have is going to float away, that something I read, I'm not going to remember that and not going to be able to use in a manner that is, limiting the potential of a video or something.
You just talked yourself into a circle.
But what I'm discovering is that going through this process, brains are smart.
No, they're not. Brains are operating systems.
Man, so that anxiety I'm talking about, one thing I'm learning literally in the last month is take a deep breath. The good shit's not going to flow out of your mind away. You don't need to open your notes up right now. Let it simmer.
And you're still not talking about learning.
I've heard that shower thoughts thing, sleep on it, whatever, my whole life, but I've never understood. Because I'm really fired up, I'll sit in my room for like 14 hours, writing and reading, researching, blah, blah, blah.
Because you're still living at home with grandma?
And that's not healthy. Not only is it not healthy, but it's very inefficient.
Maybe the way you do it.
I'll be reading the same thing over and over again because it's been 10 hours. And because I have never really been this driven, this part of the process is still being worked out.
So you haven't actually changed anything about the way you make your videos. You're just announcing future intention to change how you make your videos and claiming that now you know how to learn.
And just today I talked to someone that was like, I was telling him about my process, another YouTuber, and I was just like, yeah, like I'm really banging my head against a wall. And she was like, that really sucks. I gotta take a break, recoup, come back in a couple days, because usually the idea will pop in, big idea will pop in when I've been thinking, and then take a break.
So at the ripe old age of 26, you've learned that it isn't good to push yourself with creative endeavors, and it's important to take breaks and let your brain refresh. I'm so glad you finally learned that.
And take a shower. Again, that's the shower thoughts thing.
Yeah, you never explain that, and I think it's because you don't actually understand it well enough to explain it.
But that is when I realized that I've been spending 36 of my last 40 hours in a room on my computer.
I think you've given 4 different origination points for this video thus far, and they all contradict each other.
When I could be going to the beach because I'm in Thailand, and that's why I came to Thailand partly. I came to Thailand for both of those things. But then I went to the beach, just chilled, started adding stuff to the script because I couldn't fucking help myself, and because every line I read of Dune 2 Messiah.
That book sucks. I'm sorry. I know it's a whole series, but the first book is fantastic and everything else sucks ass. I like the movies, though.
Made me think of how I could use the Bene Gesserit voice to lure my debate lord logic into people's minds.
Your reading comprehension sucks. You have a penis. You can't be Bene Gesserit.
And then I started fucking open Google Docs. I'm being very obsessive right now, but the process has begun. And so I know things like that will work themselves out.
Things like what? You misusing metaphor?
Like when she said that, I was like, oh, probably should take a break. Burnout does happen. I've never known what that actually means, though.
Of course you don't. You're a dropout, not a burnout.
I've always been like, sorry, Casey Neistat. Sorry your life is so hard. But now I'm like, oh, riding on the moped, I can't close my fucking mouth. I'm literally like, this is the thing I need to babi. No. I probably seem like so deranged, but I'm not manic.
Nobody's claiming you are.
Do you need to shave, though? 56 minutes. We're going to cut it down using Premiere Pro's plugin and then upload it.
Try it on someone who doesn't have experience with bipolar disorder.
And you're going to have a great time with that. But anyways, this is the big video back. Don't know what I'll title it.
You're going to title it with a lie.
Maybe I'll figure it out. Maybe I won't. If this is in any way useful or helpful or good, I'll be glad, because these are the types of thoughts that bounce around in my head all day.
No, they aren't. Because they're not really thoughts that you're having. You're just pretending to have deep thoughts so that people will be more impressed with your work and think it has merit where it doesn't.
And if they have somewhere if I can spout them and squirt them into something that is going to make my life better and hopefully help me pay taxes.
So we can keep bombing Gaza?
Fuck, I gotta pay taxes.
Are you trying to imply that you won't pay your taxes, or are you forgetting that you said that American taxpayer dollars go directly to bombs for Gaza? This video was a bait and switch. There's no learning in it, except perhaps learning to be a better YouTube creator, which wasn't inspired by your time at a cabin in the woods. But it's something that apparently you've already been working on for months and months, if not years. So why did you lie to me, Noah? Why? If somebody tells me that they spent time in a cabin in the woods, I expect at least one of two stories. A, you sat there and thought about life and wrote shit down, or B, you were horribly murdered by monsters. And you've given me neither. How dare you, sir? In the comments below, what's your favorite cabin in the woods? Is it the cabin in the woods, or do you have other favorites? How about Evil Dead 2? Heck, how about Evil Dead 1, where we learn that we must not only fear the cabin in the woods, but the woods themselves? No, I'm not gonna spoil it. I think we all prefer Army of Darkness anyways. I'll see you guys next time, and remember, shop smart. Shop smart.